right, we are back. It is Tuesday, October 24th. And Noah, what is the significance of this date? Do you know?
Oh, Zach, I'm sure if I asked you this, you could think of something really clever to say right here. But all I can say is that it's opening night and basketball is back. That's what's special about today to me.
That's right, man. We have two games tonight. We have Lakers, we have Nuggets, we have Suns, and we have Warriors. What are you thinking, man? What are you most excited to watch tonight? Fantasy or otherwise?
Well, here, I'll quickly give you my keys to tonight's game. We need LeBron James at least 24 points, a Nikola Jokic double-double, and at least 1 point from Klay Thompson. That's what's going to create some great basketball here tonight. I have no other betting interest in those lines. There's nothing correlated with that. I just think that's going to create some great basketball, and that's all I want to see is really good basketball be played, Zach.
That's awesome, man. It definitely doesn't sound like you have a plus 500 parlay cooking up over there or anything.
If that was I guess it's like probably is plus 500-ish. Yeah, Sleeper doesn't use plus odds; they just do like multipliers. But yeah, probably about plus 500. That was good math.
All right, right on, man. Lucky guess. All right, so let's go ahead and get things started. Before we even get going with our questions, we can just take a quick look at notable injuries for tonight. Bradley Beal, unlikely to play tonight. Devin Booker, unless I am totally missing something, he is questionable for tonight. Still no status update on him.
He actually told reporters that he will play, and then they have updated the injury report to say that he is probable. So I will imagine Devin Booker will be in the lineup.
All right, so we have Devin Booker then, good to go. No other starters with that questionable or probable tag. Bradley Beal, unlikely to go. What do you think about the starting five? Who slides into that starting spot? Are we going to see Booker at point guard with Grayson Allen off the bench? Are we going to see Booker at the two with Jordan Goodwin at the one? What are you expecting here? Who gets the biggest bump if you're looking for a one-night streamer or DFS dart throw?
Yeah, really. I'd imagine that Grayson Allen or Eric Gordon were to slide into the starting lineup as a two. If they were just trying to replace Bradley Beal, who is the quote unquote point guard, and trying to find another point guard, then I guess Jordan Goodwin would be the guy. But I think it makes more sense to just kind of roll with what they were going to roll with and not have a quote unquote point guard and just let Devin Booker, Kevin Durant kind of split the ball. Just let each of them take 50% of the shots. Nobody else needs to shoot except for maybe Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon can take an occasional catch and shoot. But just let them go score 70 each. That should be the game plan here. I'd imagine that Grayson Allen or Eric Gordon is the guy that slides into the starting unit. Not great for fantasy, but might be able to give you some threes, some points. That's about it.
And Phoenix kind of retooled in the offseason. They made up for some of that depth that we saw them lacking in last season's playoffs. Anybody new to the bench that you are looking at for fantasy, or is this just a wait and see, maybe there's too many mouths to feed type of situation?
I think that there's guys to keep an eye on just in case there's injuries. But as of right now, I'd say there's probably four guys worth rostering, and it's their three elite scorers and Nurkic are probably the only four guys worth rostering. However, as injuries occur, as those stars sit out, somebody's gonna have to come in and fill the shoes. So tonight will be a good info session for what that could look like when Bradley Beal or Devin Booker misses time.
Right on. And if we look at our first game of the night for the Lakers, Jared Vanderbilt is out, and we've heard that Taurean Prince will be starting tonight. Any interest in Taurean Prince as a potential streamer for this evening, or just staying away? Is he your Prince for this evening, Noah?
Oh, man, I'll let him be your Prince for the evening. I think that kind of a similar thing, like unless you're really desperate for threes, but it's opening night. We shouldn't be super desperate for anything. I don't think too many people will be just trying to stream unless you can quickly make a roster change the next day and aren't worried about losing too many players, have unlimited moves you can make in your league. I think that's probably the only scenario in which, okay, there's only 2 teams going. Let's stream Taurean Prince in there. But man, there's a lot of factors that would keep me from getting Prince in any of my lineups.
All right. And last but not least, Draymond Green obviously will sit out tonight. Any interest in Jonathan Kuminga, or is he just a guy that you're keeping an eye on? Let me rephrase. Any interest in him for tonight, and then any sort of long-term appeal?
Maybe a little bit of interest tonight. I think he is a guy that I would take in the last couple of rounds, or probably did take in the last couple of rounds if he fell to me. I don't remember all of my rosters off the top of my head, but having him on the roster, I would definitely, obviously make sure he's in the lineup. He should see 20 to 25 minutes per game, or at least 20 to 25 tonight, probably the lower end of that when everybody's healthy. So he showed a lot of points, threes, rebounds. Like he did really well during the preseason, but he won't play that like volume scorer role for this Warriors team. So he won't be a star, but I think he's a serviceable player, especially when Draymond or somebody else misses time.
All right, awesome. Noah, thanks for your help with that breakdown of tonight's 2-game slate. Let's go ahead and jump into the questions. The reason we are here. From Black, hey fellas, thanks for the content. I dropped Big Bobby P for Xavier Tillman. Good move, y'all think, given the expanded role now? Yeah, I love it. Love Xavier Tillman. What do you think, Noah?
I had to do a double take. I was looking at Twitter. I thought he typed Big Bobby P, and then I was like, whoa, he used a Zach nickname right there. But I think it's a good upside move right now because, I mean, we kind of know what we're going to get from Bobby Portis. He's only really going to give you that top tier value when Brook Lopez or Giannis sits. So he's okay. But whereas Xavier Tillman, we don't really know. He wasn't incredible last year when he was the starting center at times, but maybe another offseason will help him just getting thrust into this role. And he is a starter. So I think I'm fine with the move. I think it's something that don't be afraid to jump ship on Xavier Tillman quickly if it doesn't work out very well. And Bobby Portis will be a safe guy to pick back up.
All right, so we are looking at Xavier Tillman, a.k.a. the X Factor for Memphis. Moving on. Also, Tari Eason worth an IL slot. It's unclear how rotations will look in Houston. A lot of young guys at the minutes buffet. Yes, a lot of young guys at that buffet. I hear the eating is good down there in Houston. So I think at least to start the season, you got to put Tari on that IL spot. Right now, we haven't even played our first minute of real NBA basketball yet, so there's not going to be a ton of guys on the IL right now. Maybe next week we have LeBron and AD and Jokic and Beal and 18 more relevant guys that you need to keep in your IL. But for right now, yeah, Tari Eason, throw him in the IL until you need that spot for somebody, for somebody better.
Yeah, I think if it's just one IL spot, you might as well leave him on there for right now. No reason to just drop him because it's only going to be a couple weeks. I think every fantasy analyst, maybe not every single one, but most of them love his upside, really good defensively. What kind of role he'll have, we'll see. And I think that is a bit of a concern, but there's no reason to drop him at this point. Just leave him on the IL, and then we'll figure things out in a few weeks. He's also definitely this guy's speaking your language with the minutes buffet. That is another Zach Hanshew slang term right there. So I love that.
Loving it, man. All right. Aldama or Tillman, better rest of season pickup. For me, it's Tillman. I think Aldama is a better option when, if Triple J is forced to miss time. But if we're just talking from a center perspective, we got Brandon Clark, we got Steven Adams, both out right now. To me, it's clearly Tillman. He thrived when both of those guys were out to close last season.
Agreed. Aldama was really good when he got a chance to start, but he's not going to start because they just can't trust Jaren Jackson Jr. to clean up the boards. That's just not his strength. So they need somebody in there. It's going to be Xavier Tillman. I would roll with him.
All right. We got trade talk from Rizzy McGuire. Ooh. I was offered Daniel Gafford and Jalen Johnson for Tobias Harris and Xavier Tillman. Do I accept?
Yes.
Ooh. I think you got to accept that deal, right?
Yes. Please drop what you're doing. Stop watching this. Come back after you click accept. Daniel Gafford's the player in that deal by far. Jalen Johnson, I know he's just a fun upside swing, but I would do Daniel Gafford for Tobias Harris and Xavier Tillman. So just might as well take on the upside swing in Jalen Johnson.
There you have it. All right. From Black, he's back. I got Time Lord 104th in the 9th round. I was stoked. Would you guys be stoked in my shoes? Yes. I've said this repeatedly. Yes. He is. If you can get him outside that top 100, I said it the other night when I was talking with Adam King. I will say it again. I've been putting it out on Twitter. I've been writing about it. He is a league winner this year. Robert Williams will get you top 50-ish value this year. And if you can get him in that range, league winner, league winner, league winner.
Yeah, I agree. 104 is really good value there. Not going to hurt your field goal percentage. We don't know exactly how many minutes he'll play, but I mean, if he plays 20 minutes per game, that's probably 8 rebounds and a block and a half. So I'm really good value there. And I would imagine he's going to get some starts, some bigger minute opportunity games. Yeah, no, 104 is great. I would also be stoked. I think Zach's, I don't even know if you said for sure that if you would be stoked, but I would be stoked.
Absolutely, man. If I wasn't on camera, I'd be up and jumping and dancing around if I was in your shoes, man. All right. From Brandon Howard, I'm currently having drafter's remorse on LeBron. Did you take him second or third in your draft? That's what I'm wondering. Where did you draft him? I mean, if you drafted him in the first round, yeah, I'd probably be having remorse too. But if you drafted him, what, third, fourth round? I don't know. Noah, what do you think about LeBron? I mean, other than the obvious age and injury concerns, I mean, because from a production standpoint, it doesn't seem like this guy's ever slowing down.
Yeah, he's kind of it really does depend on where you drafted him. If you got him in the third round, great. Be happy. That's like he's gonna give you better production when he's on the court than third round value. It is a slight concern, but you know, it's just something that's part of the game. And I don't think there's any reason to be concerned with having LeBron James on your roster. And now, will there be some frustrations when he misses games? Maybe, but I've been looking at his numbers. I mean, even when he misses games, like when he's on the court, he plays a ton of minutes. It's not like they're managing his minutes and he's only playing 31, 30. Like he's still playing 35 minutes per game, giving great production. So fingers crossed that he plays 60 games. Don't be surprised if it's less.
All right. From Pedro. Hi, guys. Do you think Nurk can be given 30 minutes a night? Also, Mark Williams will have less minutes because of naughty Nicky Richards. Thank you so much. Two questions here in one. So first of all, no, Nurkic will not play 30 minutes a night. He's had one season where he played more than 30 minutes a night, and it was that season where he played 8 games and got hurt. So no, that will not happen. Mark Williams, will he have less minutes because of Nick Richards? I don't think so. I think people are concerned about a timeshare. Naughty Nicky was great last year, but this is Mark Williams' spot to lose at center. I think he will play more minutes than he did last year. It will clearly be his job with Richards playing backup. I don't anticipate any sort of timeshare. What say you, Noah?
Yeah, I agree. I think Mark Williams is probably going to be in that 30 to 32 minutes range. Nick Richards will be in that 16 to 18. So great for Charlotte. They have 2 young, solid options at center, but Mark Williams is better. And he's going to play more than enough minutes to provide probably top 50, at least top 75 value, just because he has those traditional center stats with high field goal percentage, good rebounds, good blocks. It kind of boosts his 9 cap value a bit, but he's going to be really good.
All right. Nomad T, longtime sender in of questions from last year. Shout out Nomad T. I don't know what that picture is right there. I always thought it was Bender from Futurama, but I clearly, now that I'm looking at it, it's something else. I have no idea. But anyway, shout out Nomad. Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for doing this. Please rank Aldama, Koulibaly, Sadiq Bey, and THT. No, you want to take a crack at these first?
Yeah, I'd probably go Sadiq Bey. I think that we kind of know what we're going to get from him, and he has a decent skill set. I think he's probably has the highest floor among these guys. Then I'd go Koulibaly. He's going to get a ton of steals as a rookie. And then his defense will get him on the floor enough to provide a little bit in other areas, but it's mostly going to be steals. Then I'd go THT, unless I'm missing something, and I could have just missed out on an update. I think he's going to be coming off the bench. He had some really good stretches of play last season, but I'd imagine Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson are the starters in the backcourt. So not really interested in THT unless he's starting. And then Aldama last. I think, again, like we talked about a couple questions ago, his role isn't going to necessarily expand, maybe by a few minutes, but Xavier Tillman's going to take on the bulk of the minutes with Steven Adams gone. So Aldama's really only going to be worth rostering if Jaren Jackson Jr. is out of the lineup.
All right. And I think I agree with you for the most part. I think I would probably put Aldama above THT. But yeah, these guys are all pretty close in value, and all these guys are going to be their swings. These are not high floor type of guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Another question about THT. So that just kind of begs the bigger question. Do you like THT as I know everybody's probably drafted by now, as a late round upside pick? Is he somebody that you are looking at the waiver wire today and saying, hey, I'll tweak my roster and grab him, or hey, I'll just let him be somebody else's problem? What do you think?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to look up, because this is the second THT question, to make sure I didn't miss anything. It looks like he just played well during the preseason, but I'd imagine he's still coming off the bench. So not somebody that I'm super interested in, honestly, unless I'm wrong and he ends up playing like 25 minutes a night off the bench or takes over a starting role, in which case then I'd have some interest, but not super high. I don't have him anywhere. I don't plan to anytime soon.
All right. And so for these guys here, thoughts on pickups: THT, Suggs, Koulibaly, P. Will, Amon Thompson. Without doing a big deep dive here, if you had to pick one of these guys, which one are you taking? Right off the bat, quick. Who you grab?
Koulibaly.
All right.
I was trying to think, but no, my gut reaction is Koulibaly. He's a guy that I've really liked taking. I'm not high on Patrick Williams, so those were the two I was deciding between.
All right. For me, it's between Suggs and Amon Thompson. So I will take Suggs in this case. I'm not high on any of these guys, but Suggs, I think, just for the steals upside. Okay. From Ferris, do we prefer to focus on finding upside players rather than streaming early weeks? Curious to hear thoughts about rostering players who don't fit your build but might have more value. No, I know my thoughts here are, yes, when you're drafting, you can certainly look for a build and, focus your attention on your roster, throughout your draft. But when you're streaming, you got to look for value, man. Whether or not it fits your build or not, you got to look for that value, because I think you're going to miss out on a lot of really quality options if you're just constraining yourself to, your team build. What do you think about that?
I would agree. I think how much you focus on that kind of depends on how your league is. Like, if it's a league where people are very active making trades, please go get as much value as you can, because somebody else may, if it's somebody that's really going to be really good, but you're not punting field goal percentage and they're just benefiting from a big opportunity and going to tank that, pick them up and see if somebody else can trade for them. Maybe it's worth a shot there. But if it's a league where like nobody trades and everybody just kind of makes their waiver wire moves and there isn't many trades, then maybe you focus a little bit more on just what benefits you the most. But I think it depends on situation. And yeah, I would definitely lean going to try and get as much value as you can.
All right. Would you trade James Harden for Jordan Poole straight up in a 12-team league? Hell yeah, I would. What do you say, man?
Man, I think I would too. I think that's kind of crazy, but yeah, I mean, we don't know when Harden's getting traded. I mean, we assume he's going to at some point, but it's going to be a generational standoff between Harden and Daryl Morey for some sort of trade to happen. And I'd rather have a full season of Jordan Poole minus maybe the final month if they tank than only getting the final 2 months of James Harden when half of that is after my fantasy season's over.
All right, let me ask you this, and at the risk of having my analyst card revoked or getting fired just on the spot from NBC right here.
Oh, gosh.
Look, if you knew.
Should we pause it? Like, do you need to type it out, make sure it's okay? Like,
No. We're good. This is safe for work content here, I promise.
Okay.
So look, if you knew right now James Harden would be starting for the Sixers and him and Morey kissed and made up and everything was wonderful in Philadelphia, they were brotherly. Is it crazy for me to ask, would you still do this trade? Is it crazy for me to ask if this is still not an unreasonable trade? Or am I just completely
I
out
thought
in
that
left
was
field?
I had no, that's not completely out of left field. I thought left field was going to be where this was coming from, and I had no idea where this was going. But no, I don't think it's out of the question. I would probably still take Harden, assuming that if I get a guarantee that, okay, we're good now, guys. I'm going to play as hard as I can. Or it's not going to be, oh yeah, we're good. And then James Harden gets on the court and everything changes and he just doesn't try very hard, starts faking injuries. Then, Jordan Poole is the better option. But if I can get a guarantee, if I'm getting, say, 65 games of James Harden starting tomorrow or whenever their first game is, I'd assumed it tomorrow, but it might be the next day. Then I would take James Harden over Jordan Poole.
All right.
But we can't move on. You have to say what your answer would be for that, because you brought this question out of left field and now
I'm sorry. Yes, my answer would be no, it's not a crazy question. I do
Well,
not think it's crazy.
So you would take Jordan Poole over a healthy James Harden season?
I think I would strongly consider it.
Okay. That's fair.
All right.
That's fair.
I invested heavily in Australia Thompson this year. I prefer New Zealand Thompson, but what do you think here, Noah?
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, spell correct. Auster Thompson. What do you think? I'm curious to know what the heavy investment is. Is this like a 5th or 6th round pick? Because to me, that's a heavy investment. I'm not sure if you had to, put a second mortgage on your house to get Auster Thompson in one of your leagues, or I'm not entirely sure what this means. But what do you think about Auster Thompson, Noah? I love him this year.
Yeah, I think you're taking him between 100 and 110 with the hope that he can get top 75 value. We don't really know. Field goal percentage and turnovers, I feel like, are usually iffy for rookies, but he's had at least 8 rebounds in every game that he's played so far for Detroit. That includes summer league and preseason. We expect some defensive stats. We expect some assists. So I think I really like both Thompson twins, but only Asar is going to play a starting role this season. So I think top 75 is probably his ceiling, to be kind of conservative for his rookie season. I assume this isn't a dynasty question, but eventually I think his ceiling's a lot higher.
All right. And especially now with news that Uncle Bojan Bogdanovic is set to miss the next 4 weeks at minimum. So that means that there's going to be almost guaranteed a starting spot for him, for Auster Thompson, or Australia, New Zealand, Asia Thompson, whatever you want to call him. All right. Trey Murphy worth leaving on an IL spot. I think, Noah, unless you have a different opinion, for me, we can just put a blanket response out of, yes, anybody that you would have normally drafted and is injured, put in your IL spot until somebody with a higher priority deserves that spot.
Yep, definitely.
Okay. Thoughts on Buddy Hield and Jonas Valanciunas' season outlook? I think they are volatile players. I think for Jonas especially, I'm calling him Jonas like we're buds. For Valanciunas especially, I think if Zion is healthy and doing what he does, I think that severely limits his upside. But as we know, New Orleans has had a history of, at least over the last couple of seasons, dealing with a lot of key injuries. This is an extremely talented team that can, really go toe-to-toe with a lot of other rosters. They just don't usually have guys healthy all at once. So I think he can be great maybe to start the season, but maybe volatile throughout the season. And same with Buddy Hield. We're not sure what the rotation is going to look like for him in Indiana, or if he will be moved to a team that utilizes him less, once he's traded. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, you kind of covered it. I think JD is a guy, he's going to get rebounds, shoot a high field goal percentage, and honestly, he's kind of past the point where he's doing really anything else. It just depends on how many minutes he's on the floor, because I know last year his role got cut pretty dramatically, I think from 30 to 24 minutes per game. So if he's only playing 24 minutes per game, sure, you're probably getting 8.5 rebounds and a really high field goal percentage, but not too much else. I'm not really getting him anywhere unless it's later in the draft. And I'm like, shoot, I didn't get enough rebounds and I'm not punting this. Okay, cool. I'll grab him. Buddy Hield is a guy that's going to come off the bench to start the season. If he gets traded, I would assume it would be to a team that wants to start him, but he's going to get points. He's going to get threes. Everything else just depends on how many minutes he's playing. But he's one of the best shooters in the league. So if he's playing 24 minutes off the bench for Indiana, he's still going to give you really good production from deep.
All right. I got on the Collins hype train. Is the hot train real? The hype train, the hot train, whatever you want to call it, it's leaving the station. It's gone. I saw he got an extension and Wemby wants to play the 4. Yeah, I think the hype is real. I mean, if you believe what we saw in the preseason, seems like these dudes really like each other. They have good chemistry on the court playing alongside one another. And personally, I'm just a big fan of Headband Zach. I'm loving what I'm seeing there when he's out there rocking the headband. What do you think, man?
Yeah, just did a draft last night. He went 82, and that was a analyst draft. So getting him at 113, that's pretty good value, like just as it is. But when he went in 82, I had no problem with it. I think he's a guy that has top 50 upside. I think top 75 is definitely more realistic. He's going to start at center and will do probably the majority of the rebounding. Wemby's not going to be down there trying to clean up the glass. Like, they're going to protect him as much as they can. That's what Zach Collins is there for. But he's also a good passer for a center. Final 2 months of the season average, I think 1.6 threes, 1.1 steals, 1.1 blocks. I love Zach Collins for fantasy. He's not going to have some massive breakout season where he just averages 20 and 10 or anything like that, but he's going to give you really good, well-rounded value for the next few seasons.
All right. In preparation for free agency frenzy, which order out of my last 4 draft picks would you drop? Mike Conley, P. Washington J, Paul Reed, Jeremy Sohan. For me, it's going to be Mike Conley. I think he's the least intriguing of this bunch. I think all 3 of the other guys have much higher upside, and I wouldn't be surprised if Conley is moved or injured or sitting at some time in the near future. What do you think?
Well, I'm not dropping PJ Washington or Jeremy Sohan at all. I might even go Paul Reed as the first player I drop. Just because I know Mike Conley is going to start, get you decent assist numbers, decent threes. Whereas Paul Reed, I think a lot of the hype around him is, okay, he's going to start at the 4 alongside Embiid. We'll find out in their first game pretty quickly, is he going to be a starter? If he's coming off the bench, Nick Nurse has talked about, did he say he was going to increase Embiid's minutes, or did he say he was going to decrease? That actually impacts my answer a good bit. But if he's playing Embiid 32 minutes per game, that probably leaves 18 to 20 for Paul Reed, which is decent. But if it's a 12-team league, it may not be enough. If Embiid's getting his minutes increased, it's 35, 36. That really doesn't leave much time for Paul Reed to make an impact. So it depends on how their first game goes. I might end up actually dropping Paul Reed before Mike Conley.
All right. Fair enough. From Kool-Aid Trippin', shout out. I know you were asking questions last week. Where are you guys on IQ, or would you rather have Kobe White? If we're talking intelligence, I am far below average. If we're talking Emmanuel Quickley, not super interested. I mean, they added the whole Villanova alumni squad to this team. There's a lot of mouths to feed here in New York. I would rather have Kobe White. I think we saw enough from White in the preseason to know that it looks like he's going to come along as a facilitator, potentially with some defense, potentially with some increased efficiency. So, much rather have Kobe White at this point. Noah, what do you think, man?
It's pretty close. I think Kobe White, if I'm not mistaken, goes later in drafts. It may have changed kind of recently to the point where he's now going ahead because he's going to be starting. But, okay, this draft I did last night, Kobe White went, I think, 5 or 6 spots ahead of Emmanuel Quickley. So it's really close, man. I really can't even decide. I think Kobe White, I guess I'll give him the edge because I know he's starting and Emmanuel Quickley is going to be behind. Jalen Brunson, but Quickley's still going to be pretty solid. I think it's going to be very comparable numbers between these two. If Kobe White has legitimately improved as a playmaker, which I believe he has, he averaged 4 assists per game during the preseason, and most of those games he was playing about 22 minutes. So if he can play 28, 29, 30, then I think I got to go Kobe White.
All right. The Kobe's have it. All right. From a Looney, projections for Derek Lively. So I have my projections pulled up here for Lively. I have him 8.3 points, 8.3 boards, 0.8 steals, 1.5 blocks, 65.1% shooting, 108th in 8 per game rankings. That's where I have him. Noah, what do you think about Derek Lively?
I mean, he's a guy to take an upside swing on, like a lot of these rookies. It looks like he's going to start in Dallas. Who knows if that changes, or if he starts and Jason Kidd does what he's done in the past, like with Dwight Powell, and plays him 12 minutes just because he's starting the first 6 minutes of each half. I don't know. I think we'll probably see something more realistic, like he starts and plays 22 minutes per game. That's enough for him to get decent rebounds and a block and a half. So if that's what you need, if you're just looking for a center that can block shots, then yeah, I like Lively as a late round swing, regardless of fit and team build. I like him as a late round swing, but I might take him around 11 or 12 if I really need the blocks.
All right. Is the Poku hype train officially dead? He's one of my favorite unicorns, but it's getting frustrating with injuries and lack of development last couple years. Will he ever truly break out, do we think? No, I don't think he ever will. It doesn't seem like there was too much hype this season. I think there was a little glimmer of hope, but with as well as Chet's been playing and some of the other guys that they have on the roster that they're prioritizing, I don't see it. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think that if there was going to be one, it would have happened over the past couple of seasons. But obviously, a big reason for that is injuries. So, like you said, Zach, they have a lot of other guys that they're focusing on now. I think last season would have been a great opportunity for him with Chet out for the whole season, but now Chet's there. So is Poku going to come in and flash a little bit of his talent? Just to clarify, just flashing his talent in the limited minutes that he has, maybe, but it's probably not going to be enough for him to earn a big role and be worth rostering in fantasy.
Do we know what happened with Ayo, as in Ayo Dosunmu? I never saw White taking his job. I liked his defensive upside, but the breakout seems over before it started. I concur. What do you think, Noah? What was the reason for this, and what happened to him?
Yeah, I don't know either. I think Kobe White took a step. I don't think it was anything about Dosunmu's lack of development or anything. He was a star at Illinois, second round pick that came in and I think was just NBA ready. So it looked like, oh, okay, point guard of the future. But he just, I guess, hasn't developed as much as maybe people expected him to. I still think he'll play a role for them this season, but they were just trying to file through answers for the starting point guard with Lonzo Ball out for another full season. So Kobe White progressed. I guess maybe Dosunmu didn't as much as they wanted him to, or in the areas they wanted him to. I wouldn't entirely rule him out, but adding Javon Carter as well, it's just too many minutes right now for this to seem like there's any chance of any sort of breakout for him.
All right. I didn't reach and picked Kyrie over Victor. Will I regret this? So likely you were picking in the middle to late second round, or early to mid second round, I assume, in that kind of 15 to 20-ish range. Yeah, I think you may regret it. I think Victor's going to be a ton of fun this season. Obviously, we can talk about, and we've talked ad nauseum throughout the offseason about reaching and about when to take guys and how early is too early. But it sounds like if you're already asking the question, I think you have your answer. Kyrie he's a wonderful fantasy player. He's going to be amazing for your team this year. But is he going to be as fun to watch as Victor Wembanyama? Are you going to love saying I have Kyrie Irving, the flat earther, or would you rather say I have the 7'4" alien unicorn hybrid? I know which one I would prefer.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for just team status and how cool your team is, then yeah, you're definitely going to regret it. I don't think it's actually going to be something that you regret from a fantasy perspective, though. Kyrie had the preseason injury, but he's healthy now. Obviously, we can't really predict injuries or random suspensions when it comes to Kyrie. But I guess it is something to factor in. Hopefully, this will be a season where he can play 70 games. That would be awesome. I think there would be no reason to regret it if that's the case. Wemby, as much as he says that he wants to play all season, if the Spurs aren't in playoff contention, then it's just not going to happen. And even if they're close, it still might not happen because they're going to prioritize the next 15 years over this singular season. Now, if he's just so dominant that they're a playoff team, then yeah, he'll probably play a lot of games. But if they're kind of teetering there on the edge of the play-in tournament, they'll definitely be managing his minutes, managing his games. They're not going to go out there and play him 35 minutes per game like Kyrie probably will. So no, I think Kyrie is a fine pick. Obviously, you don't get Wemby, like that's sad, but I don't think it's anything to be upset about.
Noah, if you had to stake $100 on it right now, would you bet on Kyrie missing more games due to Kyrie nonsense, or would you bet on Wembanyama missing more games because of Spurs tanking?
I bet on Wemby missing more games. I would.
All right. There you have it. What change in stats do you expect Dame to have this year? I think, but a small dip in scoring. Assists probably stay about the same, if not come down just a little bit. That's probably about it. I don't see a huge change for him. How about you?
No, I really don't. I think this is one of the trades that we kind of see two superstars play together and it doesn't dramatically impact them in a negative way. I think that they're both, maybe you could say, okay, they'll take away a point or two from each player, maybe an assist away, but they're very different players. I think the fact that they're on the floor at the same time is going to open up a lot for the other. I mean, you've seen pictures of Dame having 4 players within 10 or 5 feet of him, and he's at half court. And then you see Giannis in the paint with all 5 defenders collapsing on him. Teams just can't do that. Now, is 3 players probably going to be enough to stop Dame or Giannis? Like, yes, they don't need 4 or 5, but I think it's something that it's going to open up a lot for each player, and they're going to be able to get their stats maybe even with a slight increase in efficiency.
All right. From Black Dash and Bean Gaming, I'm looking at Grant Williams or Christian Brown in a deeper league with 10 starters. Do you like one over the other? I have my answer already. How about you, sir?
I think I agree with your answer. I know how big of a Tennessee fan you are, so I know you're really high on Grant Williams. But I'll let you talk about your boy, actually.
Yeah, man. And man, shout out to Grant Williams and the Tennessee Volunteers. Yes. But no, Christian Brown is a guy that I think can finish inside the top 90 in per game fantasy value. That's where I have him ranked. I think he is going to take on the Bruce Brown role. He was awesome to end last season. He came through big time in game 3 of the finals with that 15-point performance. He's a champion. He won at Kansas. He won with Denver. He's going to win again for your fantasy team this year. He's a guy that, along with Robert Williams, is making my league winner all-star squad this season. Christian Brown, go get him.
Yeah, I think Grant Williams is a good player, but I don't know how much that results in fantasy production for him. Like, aside from the games that he's hit a bunch of threes, he hasn't really had great stats. Like, he's a good defender, but unless I'm just totally wrong and need to double check this, he's not a guy that's getting you a ton of steals or blocks. He's a good floor spacer for Dallas, but is he going to be hitting 3 to 4 threes per game? Like, probably not. And even if he does, not a great rebounder. So I think he's a very, very good basketball player and is going to fit in well with Dallas and help them out a ton. I don't think he's a guy that's going to make a dramatic impact in fantasy basketball.
Did I reach too high taking JDub at 56? He's one of my guys. No, you didn't reach. If he's one of your guys, I just love his game. I took him over Vassell and still got Vassell in the 6th, and he clarifies here in the 6th round, luckily. No, we actually had this conversation about JDub and Vassell last week. I'm not sure if it was, I don't know if it was from this man's questions or not. Either way, those are guys that are going right around that range. So if you were able to get both in the 5th and 6th round, if you were drafting as this guy, would you love your team getting JDub 56th and Vassell the very next round?
I would be stoked if I was in his shoes, to quote the prior question from him. I think Jalen Williams is a guy that's going to get you a bunch of steals, obviously play efficient basketball. I believe, I think it was Josh Lloyd had said that he was talking to somebody that said that Jalen Williams is kind of going to be the second option on offense for the Thunder this season. So he may continue some of that elite production from the end of last season, even with Chet Holmgren in the fold another year with Josh Giddey and SGA, and more lottery talent added to the mix. And then Vassell, man, he's going to be so good this year. Just got paid for good reason. He's going to be a star.
All right. Kool-Aid Trippin' again says, Chris Middleton fell to me at 104. Sounds like a steal, but it got me scared that people are passing on him. Should I be worried? Hell no, you shouldn't be worried. That is a fantastic pick at 104. Don't listen to the herd mentality, the hive mind, whatever you want to call it. Take Chris Middleton at 104 and bet on a bounce back. He was really good in the playoffs. He was not right all season from a health perspective. He will be much better this season. That is a home run pick right there. Don't even think about it.
Yeah, 104, great value. I think that there is a couple of reasons that he is sliding. The fact that he was dealing with knee issues during the preseason after it derailed his entire last season, it's concerning. And then adding in Damian Lillard, whereas Chris Middleton has had a lot of value from being kind of there. Okay, we need a bucket. Like Chris Middleton's the guy to go get that. We need a game-winning shot or end of the quarter shot. Like, okay, Chris Middleton can just go get that. Well, now they have Damian Lillard, and he's going to take away some of that production. So I think 104 is fine. I think it's, as long as the knee isn't a massive issue, he'll easily return that, probably better. But that's kind of, I would say, kind of the reason for the slide, why I'm probably letting him slide. But 104 is too far. That's great value.
With literally just a few hours until tip-off, are there any real under-the-radar, total hit or miss players that you would give a chance on the end of your roster for a few weeks? Noah, who do you like here at the end of your roster?
My number one guy, and he started to go a couple rounds earlier, but it's Jalen Johnson. Fantasy-friendly game. I know I've probably talked about it on here before, but well-rounded production. I'm not saying he's an elite defender, but he has the athleticism to get steals and blocks. He's showcased a little bit of a three-point shot during the preseason, and he's a good playmaker from the four. I think he's going to fit in really well alongside Trae Young. They're going to have a playmaking power forward, and I think that's not something they've ever really had before. So I don't know how quickly he'll take on an expanded role, but I think he's going to be a really good player.
Right on, man. And I keep hearing about Christian Braun being undrafted or last-round pick, so he's a guy that I will highlight there for sure. Somebody else that I really like late in drafts, if you have the spot for him, Drew Eubanks. I'm not counting on Yusuf Nurkic being healthy, and center is very thin for that team. So those are two guys that I will definitely be looking at. And also for New Orleans, we talked about them, not being able to stay healthy. I like Dyson Daniels. I like to take a chance on him as well if you have the space, especially if you're in a deeper league.
Yeah, I like his talent a lot more so in Dynasty, but definitely would take a chance on him. I actually forgot to also tell you this. I took Christian Braun last night in that draft, round 12, just because of you. So thank you.
Attaboy, this is for you, my friend.
It better be. If not, I'm blaming Christian Braun and you.
I'm hoping to be getting this out for you throughout the season, man. Christian Braun, I think, will show you tonight just how good he's going to be as the sixth man of the year. All right. Does Josh Hart still have a good value this year under Tibbs? He was under Tibbs to close out last season, and he did what he does best. Bore the hell out of you on your fantasy team and on the court, other than that buzzer beater that he had. I have him ranked like right around 120th in per game value. So low upside, pretty moderately high floor, extremely boring type of guy. Yeah, that's about what I'll say for Josh Hart.
Yeah, well-rounded guy. Final 2 months of last season, which would have been after the trade deadline, he was fifth round value. Doesn't kind of a points build, but he played 30 minutes per game, 7 boards, 3.6 assists, 1.4 steals, half a block, high field goal percentage, a 3. So well-rounded value. I mean, the lack of points is probably a reason that a lot of people are lower on him, but he fits a punt points build really, really well. And the Knicks love him, man. Like, he fits exactly what Tibbs wants. Like, Tibbs has his guys, and everybody knows like what a Tom Thibodeau kind of guy is, and Josh Hart fits that mold.
All right. How did the Blazers finish in the West? All right, so we just had some odds come out from Shams as we were talking. As a matter of fact, they are tied for last with the Spurs, Trailblazers, and Jazz to win the West at plus 25,000. Do you think they finish any better than dead last in the West this season?
I would almost guarantee that they finish 1 to 2 spots better than dead last. I can't say much more because I was actually, based on these odds, that's kind of what I was going to say. There's 4 teams that I think don't really have a chance of making the play-in tournament. And it's the bottom 4 teams, the Rockets, Spurs, Blazers, Jazz. But I think that the Rockets, Spurs, and Blazers, I can kind of see a path for it. It would take guys taking massive leaps forward. I just don't see it for the Jazz. I think that I'd be pretty surprised if the Jazz weren't the worst team in the league. And if they're not, I'm assuming it's because another team dealt with some pretty massive injuries. I think that the Jazz are going to be 15th in the West.
All right, let's go through one more question, and then we'll just do real quick some odds and maybe some award predictions, and we'll sign off for today. What do you think, Noah?
That sounds good to me.
I took Fox over Kawhi in round 4. Tough pick. I know Kawhi's upside is undeniable, but I feel like I'm punting games played. Thoughts? I think I would have gone with Kawhi there, but I absolutely can see why you would take Fox, and I do not think that that's a ridiculous pick at all. I think that's a totally fine pick to grab De'Aaron Fox in round 4 over Kawhi.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think Kawhi is a guy that I've seen go in round 3 a good bit. So getting me in round 4 is really good value. I probably also would have taken him over Fox. However, you do need to kind of model your roster around Kawhi in that case. You got to say, okay, this guy probably absolute best case scenario is going to play 60 to 65 games. And the more likely scenario is 50 to 55. Let me get guys that I know, at least in the first few rounds, I know they're going to play close to 70 games because I just need that at this point. But I understand taking Fox because if you just have all of your guys for a full season and a lot of your league mates don't, then I mean, that gives you an edge. So it doesn't hurt to kind of focus on guys that are going to play a lot of games. And we know De'Aaron Fox will.
All right, let's do some quick hitters here to round things out. As I mentioned, we just got some odds from Shams. We'll get to those at the very end. Let's just go through our award picks real quick. Don't need analysis. Let's just throw the picks out there. Who's your MVP pick for this season?
Oh, shoot. Goodness, I didn't know we were do you want to give me yours first?
Sure. I will go with Anthony Edwards.
Okay. I'm going to take a page out of Doc's book and go with Jason Tatum. And I think that Boston has the best record in the league. He's going to be the best player on the best team. And it's probably not going to happen, but I'm gonna roll with Jason Tatum just to not say the easy picks and go with Jokic or Embiid.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, okay. I was trying to think if I could just justify saying anything other than Wemby. I think that I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't, regardless of how good he is. I just think people are going to be blown away by his talent and say, yeah, no, that's the rookie of the year, even if he is kind of underwhelming.
All right. So I think we will go with Wemby for me as well. All right. Defensive player of the year.
I think I'm going to go Wemby again here. And let me actually explain this a little bit. I don't think that he's going to necessarily deserve it. I think that if I were betting, I would probably take, I don't know what the odds are, but I'm assuming they're probably a little bit ridiculous. There's going to be a lot of voters that are going to watch him play defense and just be like in awe, like it jaw dropped, like, wow, how did he make that block? Wow, just him being on the court just scares everybody on the other team. And he's going to make a big impact. Is he going to be the best defender in the league from day one? No. And it's probably not going to be, maybe it's not necessarily a great pick because some people are going to be, oh, well, we can't have a rookie come in here and win defensive player of the year, whatever. But he's going to get a lot of votes and he's going to top 3 at least. But I'll say dark horse for him to win it.
All right, I will go with Evan Mobley. I think we'll see a third-year leap. I like him in fantasy, and I like him on the court as well, anchoring Cleveland's really strong defense for another season. All right, most improved player.
Devin Vassell.
All right,
I'm gonna roll with that. I think, yeah, that's kind of I'm staking my claim.
Love it. I will go with Jordan Poole because I think
I
think he's going to take a huge leap in scoring, but I also like Tyler Hero here as well. I think he's going to improve as a scorer and a facilitator. They're going to ask a lot from him this season. All right, and sixth man of the year, our final one. Who do you like?
Oh, there was somebody you said yours was going to be Christian Brown, correct?
Sixth man of the year, yes. I think I will go with Christian Brown.
I'll just go with Emmanuel Quickley. I can't think of anything more exciting off the top of my head. I'm going to go with Quickley.
All right. And quick hitters here again for Western Conference. Phoenix and Denver at plus 270 are the favorites to win the Western Conference. You going with either of those teams, or do you like the Lakers, Warriors, Grizzlies, Clippers, someone else?
It's hard to bet against Denver, but I bet with Doc that the Suns are going to have the best record in the league. So I'm going to go with Phoenix and just kind of say that with the 1 seed, it's going to be hard to beat KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal in the playoffs.
All right, and Eastern Conference, I agree with you, by the way. Phoenix, I was on that discussion the other day. Yes, I like Phoenix as well.
Yeah.
They have the best record in the league. Yeah, deja vu. And for the Eastern Conference, no surprise, Milwaukee and Boston tied at plus 175. One of those two teams, are they the two teams that are definitely coming out of the East, as we said they were last season before Miami made short work of both?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those two teams. I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't, but I think it's actually going to be Boston. I think that they match up pretty well with the Bucks. When you look at a guy like Drew Holiday and Derek White, those guys can guard Damian Lillard. You have Al Horford is not one of the best defenders in the league, but he just seems to be able to figure out matchups like that. Like he's a really good defender when it comes to Joel Embiid. I think he's also a good option with Giannis, and then you have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum that can guard Chris Middleton. So they can guard the Bucks, and not many teams will be able to. And then obviously they have a lot of offensive firepower as well. So I think I'm going to go with Boston.
And just looking down through these odds here, Cleveland at plus 750 is next. I think they look great. They added a couple of shooters in Strus and George Niang. The Sixers, I think they have room for regression with the Harden situation. If Embiid is asked to take on a larger role and maybe doesn't hold up. The Heat obviously lost some rotational pieces. The Knicks, not sure what they're going to look like this season. They retooled. Maybe they take a step forward. Coming in after that, Toronto, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Chicago, Indiana, Orlando, Charlotte, Washington, and Detroit. I feel like there's a lot of room for some fluidity here in the East. Is there a team that you really like out of this group that you think can make a playoff push? Because I'm looking at the Pacers to make the playoffs, and I'm really liking the Magic to maybe make a strong push here. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that the Pacers and Magic are going to make a run to the playoffs. I don't see them winning a playoff series, but I mean, I'm trying my best to not be hometown biased here, but I really think that the Hawks, if they can, if Quentin Snyder comes in, and it seems like he was already doing that a bit last season, they gave Boston a lot of trouble, even won a game in Boston without DeJounte Murray. Having an offseason under Quentin Snyder, revolutionize the offense. He's going to have them playing better defense. I think a couple guys have the upside to take leaps forward. I think Atlanta can make a run. Now, will I be shocked if they get back to having an average season, back to the play-in tournament? Not going to lose in the play-in tournament. They're 4-0 in the play-in, never going to lose there. And then lose in the first round. I'm not going to be surprised, but I think I have the path laid out for them to be a team that's projected to be in that middle of the pack and be significantly better.
All right. No, if you got a couple more minutes here, we're coming up on the hour mark, but if you got time to hang, man, let's do it, man.
I got nothing else to do, so I'm good.
Down to clown. I'm a real Clay lover, but people have been telling me that Poole is going to be better this season. I believe Clay and the Warriors know that now is the time for them before age, etc. hurts. Continued below. Who do you think will be better this season between Poole and Clay? JP, this is obviously your first time hanging out with us, man, because if it wasn't, you would already know what my answer is. It's time for a pool party in the nation's capital. Sorry to Clay. There's a reason the Warriors and he are, quote, far off on extension talks. He is not worth the kind of money that he was worth during his last contract. Jordan Poole is the man this year. Noah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's by far Jordan Poole. He's a guy that's you have an argument to take him in round 3, but I think by the end of round 4, he needs to be gone. And Clay's a guy that you may or may not take in the top 100, and it's really only going to give you threes and points. So yeah, Jordan Poole by far.
All right. And P.S. Chet for Rookie of the Year. I could see it, man. We both picked a 7-foot unicorn who can shoot and block shots. So maybe it's the guy from Oklahoma instead of the guy from San Antonio.
I can see it.
6th man of the year, Naz Reid. That's a nasty pick. We heard it here first from Kool-Aid Trippin'. So Kool-Aid Trippin', this trophy will be yours at the end of the season if we have big Naz Money Reid coming in as 6th man of the year. Tatum or Booker or SGA for MVP. Do we think that it's going to be a non-foreign-born player who finally wins MVP after so many years? Shout out to the international game of basketball, which has really just done wonders for this game, man. It's such an awesome thing to see. But do we think that a U.S.-born player finally gets back to that trophy, or is it going to be Luka, Jokic, Giannis, someone else?
I think if there is going to be one, it's going to be Tatum. I could also see, I know I made him my pick, but he could take a hit from just having such a good team. I mean, it's no longer the quote unquote best player on the best team argument, the way it may have been more so in the past. But I think he has the best chance. Devin Booker, I don't think they give it to him with Kevin Durant on the team. Like if they have 70 something wins, then maybe, but I don't see that happening. SGA is Canadian, so I don't even think he counts for obviously a U.S. born MVP, but he has a chance if the Thunder are I'd say they probably need to be a top 3 team. Maybe he can get away with it at top 4 if he is actually a good bit better than last season. But we saw just how good he was last year. If he would have combined that out of nowhere kind of with a really good team, then he probably would have had a good argument for it. I think of these 3, and really out of everyone in the league, if you take out, you have Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis, the top 3 once again for like the 4th year in a row, then I think Tatum has a really good chance.
All right. In a 12-team points league, should I drop Santi, Aldama, or Sohan for Osser, Kobe White, or Tillman? Yes, you should. Aldama is the drop out of these 2. I'm keeping point Sohan because I'm really intrigued to see what he can do as the team's starting point guard. I think he's a guy you got to hold at least for now. But I would drop Aldama for all 3. And I think I prefer him in the order you listed him: Osser, Kobe White, and Tillman.
Agreed.
Okay, awesome. Do you have more faith in the Thunder or Hawks? Sorry, no, I don't want to go there, man. You might not want to co-host this show with me again, man. If I'm honest with you.
Listen. Who I have personally more faith in is going to be my team. However, who is the better team? The Thunder. Who would I bet my money on? The Thunder. However, I have so much faith in my hometown team, Zach, and nothing you could say can change that.
All right. You got Georgia on your mind as always. How about Scotty Barnes for most improved? I could see it. Maybe. I love Scotty for fantasy. I think he's going to take a big step forward. We talked about point Sohan. How about Point Scotty? Beam me up with plenty of assists this season. I think Scotty Barnes is going to be phenomenal. What say you?
Yeah, I think definitely a chance. I wouldn't. Maybe I would even bet on. I feel like most improved is such a out of the blue kind of thing because if everybody knew who was going to win most improved, then they would be, I don't know, higher on them to start the season. I feel like it usually comes out of nowhere. I know it's changed a little bit the past few seasons where it's guys that just have their breakout season after being top 5 picks or whatever, kind of win it. But I could see Scotty Barnes getting it.
All right. And final thoughts, Noah. Who's winning tonight, Lakers or Nuggets?
If all the teams follow my keys to the game, which were listed at the beginning, 24 more points for LeBron, a double-double for Jokic, and at least 1 point for Klay Thompson, then we're all going to be winners, Zach. But I'm going to go with, that Nuggets-Lakers game is going to be good because the Lakers are clearly motivated for some revenge. Denver's coming off a championship season and is going to get their rings right before they play. I think I'm actually going to go with the Lakers playing spoiler to the championship ring ceremony. And then with the second game, I'm going to go with the Suns over the Warriors. I don't think that without Draymond, they're going to be able to do much to stop this offense, even without Bradley Beal.
We are in agreement, sir. I like the Lakers and the Suns as well. Oh, and sorry, final question, because it's Halliburton, we got to just tune in for this one. I picked Steph over Hallie in a points league. Did I mess up? Yes, Adrian, you messed up, man. What are you thinking? Come on. No, this is not. These guys are close in a points league. I would take Halliburton. A little bit of bias on my end. I think he's going to be just a little bit better in a points league, but they're so close, man. Steph is going to score more. Steph is no slouch when it comes to assists, although Chris Paul may steal a little bit of that from him. But Halliburton is better, more assists, not super far off on points, and obviously Halliburton is going to push for maybe 2 steals a game this season. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely Halliburton over Steph, but when you're in the first round, it's kind of hard to mess it up. You mess it up in the later rounds of your draft, so not too many concerns there, even though I would say Halliburton's better.
Yep. All right. Noah, thank you, sir. This was our longest show yet of our brief time together doing these Q&As. I am so excited to be able to talk to you next week on Halloween. Maybe we'll have some spooky thoughts from the following week. Maybe we'll be ready for a little, treats next Tuesday night. I don't know what's going on. But it's going to be a lot of fun, man.
Zach, I'm looking forward to see what you dress up as for Halloween next Tuesday at 4 p.m. I'm expecting you to be in costume.
Wait a minute, dude. I think you got my mind working here. Are we going to dress up? Are we going to coordinate our costumes next week for the Q&A, dude?
I guess everybody that's going to tune in is just going to have to wait and find out.
I love it, man. Hey, I will catch you next week, brother. Enjoy that opening night of hoops, man.
Absolutely, man. You do the same.
All right, see you.